Clover here. I'm going to be reviewing a couple of different things I've been researching here in, over the past day. So recently kind of gotten into smart contracts, the primary one being proof of weak hands, and just the other day I'm kind of looking at some of the transgressions and some of the other smart contracts that are kind of in this space, and so I kind of wanted to go through those and kind of give some of my thoughts and perspectives on where I see this right now. So if we're looking at, I kind of like this model, this smart contract model, based on these three principles, which is price, volume, and time. I kind of like that dynamic because, for one, if you're getting into some of these contracts to essentially buy low, sell high, if your only motive is money, like that's one way of looking at these smart contracts. If you kind of get past that and you're looking at some of the other factors, including volume and time, if you truly believe in kind of the next steps of what we're going to be seeing in the blockchain world, I think these are some interesting concepts to kind of ponder. So for instance, if we're looking at cryptocurrency coins' purpose, we see a lot of pairs and we see a lot of kind of disagreements in the community. And so I kind of wanted to kind of show some of these different things. And so, like, just taking a look at, say, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. These are two coins that are, mined on the same SHA-256 algorithm. They are essentially clones of each other, and in a way, the communities are completely different. But like, these are very, if you were going to compare a particular coin, Bitcoin is the #1 coin on in terms of market capitalization. Bcash is 4th. Ethereum being the #2, kind of a second generation coin, and its counterpart being Neo. And so those are also very comparable. Now I put Steam here as kind of more of like a social platform, and there's kind of the social wallet or Wire. There may be a better social platform right now. Steam kind of has a monopoly in the social media blockchain world. Their blockchain is massive compared to a lot of other cryptocurrencies. So, and then of course there's Monero, Dash, like privacy coins. These are kind of some of the purposes that these coins serve. And I think now what we're going to be seeing is, what purpose do these smart contracts serve? This is a different kind of element in the cryptocurrency world. It's a little bit different in terms of, how we're looking at them. Once we saw the proof of weak hands contract come out, you saw it kind of start to gain some adoption, and people were starting to get more and more into it. You saw the rise of the clones, if you want to look at it that way. And so I wrote down a bunch of these clones. Divi 10, proof of weak math, PoWH, PoWH max. These are all different smart contracts. You can kind of go down the list. So there's at least 9 that I found right there. Now you can get a little bit of information if you're looking on DappRadar in these coins. And so these are kind of ones I kind of group into projects that are unproven and not really worth researching, right now. What I'm mostly looking at is the volume. And so if we're taking a look at the engagement, checking on DappRadar, we can see that the two that have been kind of holding down the top spot have been IDX, Fork Delta, 2 major exchanges. And I'm going to be doing a little bit more of a review on those exchanges here in the future. Proof of weak hands has been kind of rising and falling in terms of its daily active user. It's been as high as 4,000 at one point. It's been low below 1,000. So, but it has kind of maintained a position that is over CryptoKitties. The EtherGoo idle game has been one that's been kind of going up and down. But just recently here, you can see this proof of only hodling, the kind of clone of proof of weak math. And one of the things I wanted to show is basically the 24-hour volume. If we sort this by the 24-hour volume, you can see the 2 exchanges again are doing the most volume, but the proof of only hodling, Pooh, smart contract is currently second. It was at one point had about 30 Ethereum. If you're looking at Artie Intel's video where he's kind of going into it a little bit, and has kind of explained that he's getting out of the proof of weak hands community and kind of more looking to support more of this community. And so the two are different. CRYPTOCLOVER's come out and he's kind of given his take, so there seems to be kind of a split in terms of how these are looked at. One of the criticisms has been that it doesn't serve a purpose and only is you see people that are kind of virtue signaling where they're like, this is for the betterment of the community. You should say loyal to one particular project or one particular coin. I don't necessarily believe in that anymore. This was something that was written into, actually written out in some of the terms that were being deployed by BitConnect. So BitConnect back in 2017 was very much about having its people that are promoting its platform loyal to the platform. And we can kind of see how that panned out. Unfortunately, that didn't work out too well, and part of it was creating confusion. They didn't want people getting into other lending platforms and associating those other lending platforms to one of BitConnect's size and kind of stature. It was kind of the first iteration of its kind, and was one of the biggest trending topics on YouTube when we were looking at cryptocurrencies last year. So this is one that I think has some potential, and is one that I'm getting more and more involved in. I think the smart contract element is one that is interesting to document. So if we're looking at Pooh and some of the innovations behind it, I think it's unfair to say that a project like Pooh should not be taken seriously and should only be looked at, that it is basically deterring from I guess the positives behind a project like Proof of Weak Hands. So I wrote down a few different innovations that I was kind of pondering. So the one thing to notice, and I'm kind of looking at it more from a marketing standpoint, if we take price out of the equation and we're just looking at volume and time, this is one that basically just came onto the scene. Really, the volume has been in the last 24 hours, but right now it is the #1 in terms of volume when you're looking at these smart contracts. It has done more volume than Proof of Weak Hands. So to discount it and say that it's not a legitimate project when it's doing more volume than the Proof of Weak Hands contract is perhaps not the best way to look at it. So some of the innovations and things that I was looking behind this, and probably the #1, when you're looking at Proof of Weak Hands, there's no transparency in terms of the developers are anonymous. They are online, they're on Discord chats and things like that. They're not on YouTube in the sense of just showing their face. And with proof of only hodling, we have more of a authenticity, transparency to that particular project. One of the other things I think is kind of interesting when you're looking at the website is there's no charts. And so the charts are basically, can be used when you're looking at the charts for, let's bring this up here real quick. When we're looking at the price charts for these smart contracts, we've seen that there's been quite a bit of selling off here recently. So as we can see, like in the last, this is kind of an hourly chart, you can see that the contract balance was around 9,200 and had basically dropped, right, it's below 8,200. So it's lost roughly about 1,000 Ethereum from this particular contract here recently. So, there's kind of different ways to look at the charting. These are kind of different markets and things that I think are interesting to take a look at in terms of how these are going to play into the future. Some of the other innovations I kind of wanted to go over. So the Pooh website It does have these like essentially Pooh sounds. They can be kind of annoying if you're leaving on the, if you're just kind of leaving it on your website and not closing it, like closing out the tab or whatever, you're gonna hear those sounds. And I kind of look at that as almost like a security function to basically get you to close out of the browser. And that's gonna be a little bit more of a secure way to interact with that smart contract. So I think there's some interesting dynamics behind that. The satire, the kind of the master load versus the master node, you know, create and flush. So you're creating Pooh, you're flushing Pooh. So these can be, you know, these can be looked at a different way. It's a different community. And so it's, if you're not, if you're one of the major holders in one of these smart contracts, you're incentivized to kind of promote that platform. If you don't really agree with the direction of that platform, there are other platforms that you can get involved with. I think that right now, these are the two contracts that are worthwhile getting into. I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting into any of the clones because of the volume of trading. We're not seeing a whole lot in those contracts. But I think those two are worthwhile looking into, and I'm going to do a little bit of a walkthrough with that here, just a little bit. So just some of the other things, they kind of have a slogan like, you know, they're number 2, that's the way we like it. So there's, again, some, you know, some satire behind that. They go into the trust wallet. The trust wallet is another form of interacting with the smart contract similar to MetaMask. And so there's also some educational elements to it. So now I'm going to kind of go through the website and show you guys kind of what I've been doing over the past few days. But this is what I'm talking about when I say it's like educational. Like you don't get these types of kind of walkthroughs on the website on proof of weak hands. You know, it's setting up a trust wallet, setting up a MetaMask, buying Pooh, selling Pooh, withdrawing dividends. So the educational element, and this is all in newcomers. Oops, looks like my, apologize guys, my stabilizer just died. All right. But I think that is an interesting way of educating people that are very new to this type of platform. Because right now, the only ways to really get educated on proof of weak hands is through YouTube videos online. So we can see here, show you guys my account. Apologize for the shakiness. But I just threw in some dividends the other day and bought basically like 32 Pooh. I just started reinvesting some of my dividends. And so I've got like a little bit in there, basically about 50 bucks. The contract was as high as 800 earlier. Now it's kind of dropped down to 350. So it's still a very kind of new contract. But what I'm going to do is, one of the things I'm kind of looking at is just kind of getting more involved in these smart contracts. So taking my daily dividends from proof of weak hands and investing them and just kind of throwing them at different projects. And so let's see if I can, bear with me one sec. I'm going to see if I can get the stabilizer working. I got a battery here. Bear with me one sec. These are the challenges of live streaming. The batteries are going dead. There we go. That's better. Okay. So right now, I'm taking a look at the exchange. You know, I'm still holding 3,500 coins. I've made $90 in the platform, and just basically since kind of last night, because last night I took my dividends out and threw it in Pooh. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to withdraw here. So I'm going to withdraw. This is going to come up. I'm going to bump up the gas again, so this will process a little bit faster. Oh, and this is interesting, insufficient balance for transactions. So I bumped up to 3 and it didn't work. So I'm gonna bump it down to 2, submit, okay? So that's going to go through. We're going to check back with that in a sec. So again, the way these contracts work for those of you guys that are a little bit new, I'm getting paid out in dividends from people buying and selling. So there's been people selling out of the contract, and so now I'm kind of getting those dividends and putting them into different projects. Some of the projects that basically I'm getting into right now are Pooh, PoWH, and Doubler. These are the ERC20 contracts that I'm looking at right now. And so this is where I'm basically taking dividends from my proof of weak hands, the exchange website here, and taking those daily dividends and putting them into different smart contract projects. So you can see, we'll see when that, okay, oh, so that already processed. So you can see there, I've got the 0.143 Ethereum. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into Pooh, we're gonna create some Pooh, 0.142, I don't know, let's see if we do 0.412. So you can hear those noises in the background. So basically when there's a volume, you get those sounds. So we're gonna buy here. It's gonna bring up our MetaMask. I'm gonna bump this up to 2, I guess. Looks like it's gonna work. So we're gonna submit. And so basically we're gonna go from 34 buying, roughly 50 tokens. So we should have about 84 Pooh tokens once that goes through. Now you can get into this particular project again, and you can look at the source code. So right here, this is the etherscan. This is this particular contract. Everything is can be looked up and recorded. I'm having internet issues again. So everything is recorded. So here we go. That transaction. Look at that, that just processed. Look how fast that was, 1.42 Ether, 4 seconds ago. So this is updating in real time. And this is the innovation of these types of platforms. There's no other platform that's really gonna give you this type of data that you can work with in this manner. These are the first contracts of their kind that are kind of working in the way that they're working, where they have the ability for other platforms to also be built on top of them. And so that's like this Doubler one, which I'm going to show you guys, so we can interact. I'm going to turn off the volume here so I don't have to hear that noise. But this is Doubler. This is the one I was showing you guys the other day. And this one, you have to let it load, and part of the loading process is interacting with MetaMask. So you can see I'm owed 0.66 Ethereum. You can see the backlog length, the people that are in this contract, the dividends that are being paid out, and you can see the P3D token balance. And so this is the number 4 wallet on P3D, and it is a contract. So it is an immutable contract, and these are the ones that I'm looking to get more into. So I'm gonna keep, be doing more research into these areas and getting into different contracts. And that's actually something I wanted to talk about. Right after this video yesterday, when I was here at Amazing Coffee, I met with the developer of NoChain. So this is NoChain. NoChain is, in their own words, let's see if I can. Let's go home. This is interesting. It's a decentralized application, smart contract platform that's built on Arc. So for those of you guys that don't know Arc, you're seeing a lot of these smart contracts are being added to Ethereum. This is the one that's built on top of Arc. All of the developers, there's 7 developers, 4 of them are from Hanoi, 3 of them are from here in Saigon. And so I met with one of the lead developers yesterday, and Arc is not a small coin. So this is one that's number 61. You can see that it came into existence in March of last year. So it's been around about a year. It's trended pretty high at different times. At one point having almost a 400 $400 million market cap. It's currently, right about 326. So it's been kind of holding its market cap valuation per se in relevance to Bitcoin. But this node chain is one I think is really interesting. So they're kind of solving some different issues and some problems. And that's, again, kind of when you're looking at the coin's purpose. One of the things I'm, again, kind of getting back to this point, different coins hold different purposes, right? So you have Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Neo, some of these different pairs of coins, and like, you're going to have certain coins that are going to have clones or ones that are very similar to it. Essentially like Litecoin is a clone of Bitcoin in a way. It's basically a faster version of Bitcoin. If that's the use case scenario, the purpose behind it, all of the market valuation, in particular coins, are all really speculative. Again, you're getting into a situation where you're handing over things of value, so whether it's Bitcoin or whatever coins you have, and investing that value into companies and entities that are essentially working on particular projects. So like, Vitalik is working on Ethereum along with a lot of other developers, and there's a lot of platforms that are being built on top of Ethereum. Same thing with a platform like Arc or a platform like Cardano, or some of these kind of next generation cryptocurrencies. And if we take a look at CoinMarketCap, that's kind of one of the things that we're seeing with the top coins. Ripple, even you can kind of see a little bit of a surgence with Ripple, where it was almost at $1 not too long ago. It's one with a high circulating supply, faster transactions. A lot of people are against it because it's kind of anti, kind of the foundations of cryptocurrency in a way. However, it's one that has really held the third spot in terms of market capitalization for quite a long time. This is dating back into like 2012, 2013. So some of the newer ones, EOS has kind of been in an ICO phase for a long time. People have been dumping a lot of money into EOS. It's got currently almost 12 billion in its market cap. You're putting a lot of this valuation into a particular company or a project that is still in an ICO phase. Still unproven. And that's, I think, the thing that we're seeing, and why I'm kind of interested in some of the smart contracts, is because they are set in stone. They're already done. Essentially, it's immutable code that you're interacting with. It doesn't involve a company. It doesn't involve people. And I think that when you start taking that out of it, you're starting getting into a situation where this is a very innovative, trustless system. Like you're buying into something where, unless you have security issues, where someone would be able to hack you, you always have access to your funds. You could pull out, like if I wanted to right now, I could pull everything out of proof of weak hands and Pooh if I wanted to. I could take all that Ethereum out right now. So here's my Pooh account. So it's currently at 85. If we look into the contract, so now I have 85 tokens. If we want to look at this contract on etherscan, let's take a look at the token holders. So I'm not in the top 50. If you want to get in the top 50, you have to put in, roughly about, 400, or get about roughly 400 coins. So I have roughly, 85 coins. So it hasn't updated right here, but I'm going to move into the 85th position with 85 coins. So I think another strategy can be to get into some of these projects at, a certain level. I'm not putting a whole lot of money per se into this particular project, and they're all dividends that came out of my proof of weak hands account, but in some ways it can be looked at as a hedge against something like proof of weak hands, since it's still so new, and so people are still getting used to it. But I'm basically watching this go up all the time. With volume, you're going to see this constantly increase. Right now, since I just transferred over, I've made 7 cents. And so this is the closest thing to like a passive income based on kind of a community-driven project that really is trustless in a sense that you don't have any particular person involved. The community, in a sense, are just people promoting it, people explaining how it works, explaining how to use it, but things can also be built on top of this, and that is the thing that we're going to see right now. And probably what I'm going to end up doing is taking my dividends and just kind of getting invested in a lot of different projects, maybe reinvesting. Maybe I'll take I'll break it up into threes or something, like one time I'll reinvest, one time I'll throw it into a certain project, and the other time I'll pull it out and use it maybe to buy something here in Vietnam, so I can show you that process. So I'm gonna check in with the chat. EOS versus P3D is a crazy comparison, man. That's why there are only 7 people watching. Make it 6. Or 6 to 18 people watching. But I think you can compare cryptocurrencies to smart contracts in their use case scenario and their purpose. I don't see why not. You know, EOS has a considerable amount of money behind it. However, it's a new platform based on Ethereum, much like these contracts are a new phenomenon on the Ethereum blockchain. So they're very comparable. You think EOS isn't a good buy? I've seen people really kind of trash EOS, saying that they have a lot to prove, you know, and there's a lot of other projects that, you know, could be looked at as similar. I typically, I need to do another update with this, but getting into the altcoins, I really see the opportunity is in the inverse market cap coins. So in the coins from the 80th to the 100th position. So I'll show you that right here. This Vertasum one was a very interesting project that had blown up on these exchanges at different times. It's been a top 20 market cap coin or project. It's you know, this is one that is primarily being traded on Ether Delta. So like these are different projects. Like you can get into these at a good price point, and some of these have the tendency to really fluctuate in price, and you can cash in at different price points. But I like a lot of these. I like Funfair. I like what they're doing with you know, their focus on kind of like the gaming. You know, kind of like they serve a little bit of a different purpose. Power Ledger is an interesting one. I like Enigma. I've made actually a lot of money on Enigma. MadeSafe coin, a privacy coin that's been around a long time, and I think these projects kind of in these bottom, like basically looking at like 80 through 100, and kind of look at some of the ones that are trending. Everything's in the red right now, but you know, that's kind of where I'm seeing opportunity. This Pundi X has been a really interesting one. So one that just kind of came into this 78th position. This one has had a humongous amount of growth recently. Cash is one that's actually been trading pretty heavily in Asian markets. So that's a really interesting project. This Substratum one is another interesting project. So some of these massive projects with a lot of money behind them, a lot of developers, are serving different purposes, but they're still unproven projects. And you're still putting your money into, or your cryptocurrency or your belief systems into an unproven project in a lot of ways, unless it's just essentially something that is providing a use case. I don't see people spending Substratum. I don't see people spending these like if you're actually trying to use it on a day-to-day basis. A lot of these are not necessarily set up quite yet to you know, to maybe transfer into fiat currencies. They're very speculative in a way. So let me check in and see if there's any other questions. I'm gonna probably take another question too and then get off. What is the passive income potential with proof of weak hands? What is needed to invest to have a daily payout worth saying it's a passive income? Well, I'm making, you know, well, I was making over like $1,000 a day, you know, not too long ago, but that was all really attributed to the price rise in Ethereum, because I really started buying heavy into Ethereum, and then I think I put in like 35 Ethereum or so into proof of weak hands, you know, and the price of Ethereum kind of went from like 500 to, what is it now? 632. It was a little bit higher than that, probably like high 600s. So like I was making a lot just on the valuation of Ethereum in terms of like if you look at when I was looking at this right here, you know, just my holdings. So that 3,500 coins was like $2,800, you know, not too long ago. And so like it seemed like every day that I was checking in, it was going up by $1,000. But I've been making like, I would say like $100, at least $100 in dividends pretty much every day. And like these are not like in the same sense as like from referrals or anything really like that. You can actually track it. Like you can go on here and see kind of what I've done in terms of like how many, I think I have like 2 referrals so far, and the amount of money that I'm getting from that is like nothing, right? So, but you can track some of these things, and like that's one thing I didn't do. Like when I was buying Pooh, I don't believe, I'm not sure if I had if I was using someone's masternode for that. I need to do a little bit more work on that because I've been kind of buying into these, and I don't think, when I've been buying into them, I haven't been using like a masternode or someone's masternode, which I probably should be doing, kind of rewarding the community in a sense. And so. How is Proof of Weak Hands not different from other past lending projects, though? Needs investors to constantly support the platform payouts, right? So what you need is you need volume. And so like that's one of the things that I'm kind of looking at here. Like that was one of the downfalls with some of the lending platforms, is the volume essentially stopped, right? The volume stopped. So there's ways to make money on volume. Right now, the -- exchange in the world, Binance, makes most of their money through transaction fees for trading. And they have minimums. They have like, you know, it's not a whole lot of money, but it adds up when you're the #1 exchange in the world. So they're making a lot of money on the transactions. All of that money is going into a company. It's going on to people, you know, of course, to, you know, support the platform and the exchange. You know, like that takes a lot of money to run an operation of that size. But these contracts are going to be different. Like you don't necessarily need all of those people involved to have, you know, a trustless system that's based on code in a way. But hope that answered you guys' questions. I'm going to try to look at a few other interesting projects to maybe get involved with and kind of give you guys my take on that. If you guys have any other questions or kind of want to talk about things a little bit further, be sure to comment in the section below, and we can chat about it. All right. Talk to you guys on the next one.